A warm welcome to the 2024 Scottish Women's Institute's AGM. My name is Mary Burney and I'm the current National President for the SWI. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone joining us online today. We have a busy programme this morning and will be ably assisted by members Thorn and Kath Hewson, who are helping to run today's event. Members of the Board of Trustees are also in attendance, as well as members who will be sharing their successes and experiences later. This meeting is being conducted online to allow members from all areas of Scotland to participate. As usual, when we have a large number of participants joining a Zoom meeting, I would ask you all to make sure that you're on mute to minimise background noise and that you use the raised hand function if you wish to speak. This will bring you to the top of the meeting screen and one of our helpers will invite you to speak. If you prefer not to speak, you can type your question using the chat function, which will also be monitored. Please remember to tell us your name and which area you're from. Using these simple rules will afford members and guests the time and respect they need to speak and allow us to maximise the time we have to enjoy hearing what's been happening during the year. As our time is limited this morning, any questions that we don't get round to will be collated and published with full answers in the forthcoming online e-newsletter. In the unlikely event of technology letting us down, please log back on using the same AGM link and the meeting will resume. Before we begin the AGM business proper, as is usual practice, I'll read the Declaration of Interest. Should any member have an interest in any matter under discussion on the agenda, they should declare it and it will be minuted. For example, if you have a company or are part of an organisation that has done or intends to do business with the SWI, or if a relative or friend has a financial or business interest in the organisation, you must declare it at the start of the meeting and not participate in the discussion or try to influence the outcome. The charity must demonstrate this to comply with the Bribery Act. So before we continue, I would ask you to declare any interest. Has anybody? No. So we're not recording any interests. The minutes of the previous 2023 AGM, held on the 13th of May last year, have been circulated and can be taken as read. Is everyone happy that this is a true record? If it is, can I ask a member of the Board of Trustees to propose the adoption of the minutes, please? That's Sybil. Thank you. And if I can have a seconder. And Care. Thank you very much. So the agenda this morning. During today's meeting, you'll firstly hear a report from the Skills and Events Committee on their work to date. You'll then receive a summary of the fantastic work that federations have reported to us in their annual reports. And I'm pleased to announce that every federation sent in an annual report, which enables us to accurately report on membership across the whole of Scotland. We'll then officially announce the winners of the Barbara Brookshire Trophy, the Stony Creek Trophy, and the Retson Family Award. So good luck to everybody. So that you're not listening to my voice all morning, I will then be joined by fellow board trustees who will provide the SWI annual report with its strategic achievements to date. This will be followed by a question and answer session. So please feel free to ask any questions you may have. May Tosh, our National Treasurer, will then introduce our auditor, Kenny McDowell of Safri LLP, who will present the 2023 annual accounts. Again, you will have an opportunity to ask the auditor questions. Later, we look forward to hearing from a selection of members who will share their experiences on how to successfully manage a centenary celebration, partnership working with men's sheds, and a fantastic initiative to preserve Sanker knitting. We'll also hear from our largest new institute. This too will be followed by a question and answer session. So we have lots to get through today, and I do hope you enjoy the time that we have together. Unfortunately, Anne Howitt, who is convener of the Skills and Events Committee, is unable to be with us this morning. So I'd like to invite Brenda MacLeod, who is the vice convener of the Skills and Events Committee, to give us a report on the work and progress made by the committee in the past year.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very pleased to be asked to report on the Skills and Events Committee. The committee have been meeting regularly to discuss the way forward. So far this year, we have been busy at competitions and events proficiency and judges tests, Evelyn Baxter Scholarship and events online and in person. This required, first of all, looking at each event, competition, financially and how viable they were. It became clear from the analysis of each event that losses could not continue. Travelling expenses that are paid to the teams competing at these events was the main reason for the losses. The committee proceeded to discuss each event in detail and fully assess whether the event competition needs to be reviewed, to be revamped, changed, or to continue with monitoring it. In cases of events that need to be completely reviewed, these might need to be put on hold till a redesign is ready. In the case of events that need a slight change, we would continue and make change without putting on hold. Funding for these expenses is no longer available. Therefore, travelling expenses would be phased out, with some exceptions for Highlands and Islands. Proficiency and Judges Test. A subcommittee was formed to look at the tests. The title of these tests and process didn't clearly define the route to achieving the certificates. The language needs to equate to modern skills. Include levels, including beginner, intermediate and advanced. The national judges were invited to join the subcommittee and bring their experience to the discussions. A lot of thought and work went into the revamping process. A framework for working through the levels of achievement is work in progress at the moment. We aim to bring tests into line with the Scottish Credit and Qualifications Framework. Meanwhile, federations have been asked to submit information to assess how many members have articles waiting for tests. It is hoped that federations will get together and create a viable centre for the national judge by opening up to neighbouring federations. Work is ongoing as to how we can accommodate the judges' test within this teamwork. The Evelyn Baxter Scholarship. This is a unique scholarship within the SWI, and the success of this is unmeasurable. This was demonstrated at the National Conference in Perth, with Yvonne Nash having record entries. Many of the items displayed demonstrated skills that members had gained through the Evelyn Baxter class. However, the process is complicated, particularly for judging and the amount of space required, both for judging and for storage. The fee also needs to be more realistic. The language needs to be clearer with and repackaged to explain what the competition is. This will be reviewed before the next national conference. Summer school. The uptake for this year is encouraging, with the number at over 110. In future, this will take place once every triennium. The SWI tour to the Peak District has proved popular, with a full coach being on the tour. Online events are successful. There is currently a good balance between online and in-person events. All are well attended, and non-members are engaging and paying a small fee. All events are evaluated, and the example will be shared with the committee. Sports competitions vary in costs. The golf and curling is suspended due to the cost of green and ice fees. Bowling competitions don't incur the same costs, therefore are continuing meantime. The decision to suspend some of the events is challenging and not easily decision to make, but necessary to preserve the finances and ensure a viable future. The committee appreciates it will be disappointing some members, but it is necessary at this point not to continue running them as a loss. Be assured that the committee is investigating how to revisit these events if the numbers add up. The committee have looked at suggestions from some new events with a view to incorporating some of the events that have been put on hold. Suggestions from members would be very much appreciated. My thanks to the Skills and Events Committee members and the staff at SWI Central Office for their support and input over the last year. From Anne Howitt.
Thank you, Brenda. I think the Skills and Events Committee deserve a big thank you. Without their expertise and decision-making, we'd not be able to run as smoothly as we do. Thank you for sending in your annual reports. SWI federations have been vibrant hubs of activity, showcasing community engagement and skill development. From Aberdeenshire's bustling events like Country Comes to Town, to Angus's successful handcraft and home skills gatherings, each region has demonstrated a commitment to its members. Notable achievements include Argyll's diverse trips and craft demonstrations, and Dumfrieshire's representation at national competitions. Despite challenges like institute closures, Berwickshire and Lanarkshire have remained resilient, hosting events and fostering community spirit. The commitment to skill development is evident across regions, with classes ranging from Tamari balls to heritage crafts. Orkney's plans for its 100th anniversary celebration and Wigtonshire's array of community events exemplify the Federation's dedication to local heritage and engagement. From social outings to competitions, each Federation contributes to the rich tapestry of Scottish community life, ensuring the SWI remains a vital part of Scottish culture. The other key information that was reported in the annual reports was that 16 institutes closed in 2023. Even though 11 new institutes were formed, there are 32 institutes reportedly at risk of closure. These are the challenges we continue to face. Thank you again. A more detailed copy of the Federation annual reports is available on the website in the AGM papers, and you may already have seen that. Now, I'd like to take this opportunity to announce this year's trophy winners, remembering that the winners are based on the information received in the Federation annual reports. The Barbara Brookshire Trophy for the institute with the greatest number of new members during the year is awarded to Christorfin, who have 21 new members. Congratulations, Christorfin. Keep up the good work. The Stony Creek Trophy goes to the Institute with the second highest increase in membership. This year, we have joint winners, Killen and Dollar, who have 15 new members each. Well done and congratulations, ladies. I very much enjoyed a visit to Killen earlier in the year. The Retson Family Trophy honours a new institute with the most members. This year, I'm delighted to say it goes to Largs, who have recruited 54 members. Well done and congratulations to you all. Congratulations to all the trophy winners and many thanks to all of our members who work so hard to grow our membership. Now to a little bit of sad news. Many of you will have heard of the passing of Joan Hutchinson, one of the SWI's trustees. Joan was a cherished, compassionate, and talented board member. And I think we have just got a little tribute to her.
Back at life, I wonder what I would have done if I hadn't had the SWRI or the SWI with me all the way along the line. And it's from a point of friendship throughout the whole of Scotland and the fun and things that we've done over all the years. And I just wanted to be on the board because I know we need to change. I understand that. I want to see the changes going through, and I'd like to be there a little bit longer just to see how we do develop.
Thank you. Joan's passing not only leaves a hole in our lives, but also in the governance of the organisation. Perhaps one of you could take up the reins and get as much joy out of being a board member as Joan did. We invite all members to consider applying for a position on the national board. You'll find more information on what's involved on our website. It's not an easy job. You'll have to make tough decisions at times. But together, as a board, we're determined to ensure SWI's future. And then to my own annual report. I want to take this opportunity to provide a more detailed report on our achievements and the progress we've made towards a sustainable future. And as I mentioned, I'm going to ask some of my fellow board members to join me in delivering the report. As you all know, the Scottish Women's Institutes have a long, rich history across Scotland's communities, promoting education and connecting women locally and nationally to improve their quality of life through friendship, sharing, and having fun. That's why we're here. Our principal aims are set out in our constitution, and these remain unchanged. During 2023, we focused on delivering key strategic priorities, including reducing our organisational costs, growing membership numbers, preserving our heritage, modernising and updating internal systems and processes, and enhancing and strengthening the SWI governance structure. I'm now going to ask fellow board member Susie Finlayson just to tell you a little bit more about the changes.
Good morning, everybody. In early 2023, we made big changes to improve how the SWI operates. We recruited a new board of trustees who were skilled and experienced and ready to strategically lead the SWI into a new phase of growth. We also streamlined our committees and made them work better for our organisation's size. This has meant we could focus more on reviewing events which were losing traction with members and instead deliver events and activities that members really embraced. We continue to carefully manage any activities which don't cover their running costs. At the beginning of 2023, we also updated most of our technology to make sure that any data we hold is safe and secure and that we work efficiently. Our staff now use cloud-based systems, which enable them to work together more easily and effectively. A new financial system means it's simpler for members to pay and book online, and a new membership data system means that at long last, we now know how many members we have and where they are in Scotland. Throughout the year, we use technology more to reduce costs and work smarter. Internal meetings are now mostly online, saving us money to focus on other things. The Skills and Event Committee now makes informed and up-to-date decisions as we ask for feedback after each online or in-person event. This means that we can continually improve and meet members' needs. By the end of the year, more members were signing up to get our emails and updates, and more people, both members and non-members, were attending our online events. We made sure to let everybody know about these events through emails, online magazine, and social media. Working with our legal team at Morton Fraser McRoberts, the Board of Trustees ratified the application to Oscar to start the first phase of applying to transition the SWI national body to a Scottish Charitable Incorporated Organisation, or SCIO. The application was successful, and as you may know, we are now in phase 2 of getting acknowledgement from federations and institutes into the SCIO entity. It does involve a new and updated constitution, but this will have very little impact on members. I'd now like to pass on to fellow board member Karen Johnson, who's going to talk more about our membership growth and values.
Thank you, Susie, and good morning, everyone. Membership increased by 3%, marking the first growth since the 1950s. This is the result of us all welcoming new members to existing groups and launching new groups in areas where there is demand. Collectively, we have enabled more women to make friends, learn, and have fun together. The number of independent or online members has also risen. So, for now, our numbers remain steady. The new growth is evening out the decline. However, we can't be complacent. We need to keep up the momentum and continually grow. To help progress with new groups, we've produced a helpful guide to starting an institute. Existing and new members work together on this and produced useful tips and handy hints, which are available to download from the website. And existing groups may like to take a look at this too. In September 2023, we held our national conference called the Women in Scotland SWI National Conference and Exhibition. It was a hit with more than 300 members joining in for 2 days of fun activities. They got to hear from interesting speakers, see what other members were up to, take part in craft competitions, try out workshops, shop, and make new friends from across Scotland. It was an inspirational and exciting event which left members hungry for more. They'll look out for the next one in 2026. In 2023, we held lots of face-to-face and online events and competitions. There were sessions on staying healthy, celebrity talks and skill shares, member training events, and much more. Members are increasingly taking part in online events. Look at today at the AGM. This wouldn't have been possible a couple of years ago. Members from all over Scotland, sitting in their own homes, but all in the same meeting. It's fantastic. Throughout 2023, members enjoyed a diverse range of events and competitions, both in person and online. In-person highlights included the SWI National Conference and Exhibition, Creative Crafts Exhibition, and Introduction to Wild Swimming. Online gatherings, like the AGM and Christmas quiz, kept members connected, and national competitions ranged from outdoor bowling to writing and crafts. Celebrity talks featured personalities like the Hebridean Baker and Great British Bake Off's Peter Sawkins. Members upskilled through programmes like the Evelyn Baxter Scholarship and skill sharing sessions on baking and public speaking. Health discussions covered cancer, endometriosis, eye health, menopause, and breast cancer. Member support sessions included Eventbrite use, triennium information, mediation training, and peer support for new groups. And I'd now like to pass to May Tosh, who's going to talk a little about the financial sustainability. May, you'll need to unmute.
Do it again, May, sorry. Do it again.
No, is that it now? Am I unmuted now, yes?
Yeah, you
Sorry
are.
about that. Good morning, ladies. Throughout the 2023, the operational costs have been reduced. This has been achieved by a robust review of all contracts and the root and branch and the free source of heavy operational systems processes. These initiatives not only enhance our security measures, but also contribute to significant cost savings, helping towards sustainable growth. In July 23, we initiated a tender process for SWI auditing and investment management services. And as a result, we switched to LGT, formerly Arbon, as the SWI's investment management company, and Safrays have been retained as our auditors. The CEO actively engaged in the 2023 Heritage Trade Up programme, facilitated by the Social Entrepreneurs Scotland. This initiative, aimed at developing social entrepreneurship within heritage preservation, resulted in the SWI receiving £4,000 to match fund from income generated at the National Conference. This strategic investment for the SWI underscores our commitment to leverage external resources to advance our heritage preservation efforts. In September 23, we secured £3,640 from the National Business Archives Records at risk funding for storage costs of the SWI artefacts collection at the Baltas Trust Centre in Glasgow for a period of 2 years. The collection is stored on roller rack on site and is accessible for any future archiving to take place over the next 2 years. The Heriot Row office was sold. The staff team relocated to a modern, accessible office at 1 Carmichael Place in Edinburgh. This is tailored to the needs of the current staff count, and the lease is a 3-year contract with a 2-year breakout clause for added flexibility. The income from the sale of Heriot Row generated £1.6 million, which has been designated for the following. Firstly, the SWI Heritage Project Fund. For future development, this is crucial to ensure that we allocate the money specifically to preserve the SWI's heritage legacy. A consultancy fund for consultancy services which allow us to help from experts and resources that we may not have in our team, for example, lawyers and accountants. Income Development Fund. Monies to generate new income streams and planned fundraising efforts to help maintain the organisation's financial health and growth aspirations. Organisational wind-up fund. Like most LASH charities, we hold a reserve in event of having to wrap up a national body. Website fund. A new website is planned for 2025. And also, finally, a membership development fund to provide resources to market, launch and sustain membership growth. And with that, I'd like to pass back to Mary.
Thank you, May. And I'd finally like to talk about preserving our heritage. During 2023, we successfully initiated the SWI Heritage Project. This was necessary due to several pressing risks and timely opportunities. The priority of preserving our heritage was identified in our organisational strategy, and the sale of Heriot Row posed a risk of our collection and archive being displaced or lost. Additionally, the decline in membership underscored the importance of safeguarding and promoting the organisation's legacy for future generations. Throughout the year, we took significant steps towards a long-term heritage project by making progress in securing a dedicated home for SWI heritage through a strategic partnership with the Crichton Trust in Dumfries. Actively collaborating with members and various heritage and academic organisations whose support and advice guided us through the initial stages. Working with members to catalogue craft artefacts and understand our heritage holdings as we prepared to leave Heriot Row. Relocating the SWI heritage artefacts to the Ballast Trust charity in Glasgow for a 2-year storage and archiving project, thanks to a successful Records at Risk grant. Establishing a new heritage group to ensure member-led and member-focused project leadership. Hosting a strategic partnership event in Dumfries for all Federation office bearers across Scotland and gathering feedback on the partnership with the Crichton Trust. And approving plans in December to progress with the strategic partnership and safeguard SWI heritage for future generations. In summary, the board and staff are proud of their 2023 achievements and know we are positively progressing to a sustainable and attractive organisation that is fit for the future. We acknowledge that we have a lot of work to do and there are challenges ahead. However, we will remain focused on the core ethos and values of the SWI. Now we're going to open the floor for questions. If you have a question, remember to add them to the chat box or use the raised hand function. Maz, Wilma and Kath will help me to manage this part. To start off, we have a question that has been sent in advance. This is from member Maureen MacLeod. The National SWI have accepted levies directly from members of newly formed groups, which is contrary to our constitution. Should these levies be refunded to the newly formed groups? In answer, no. The members agreed in 2022 through the survey that the constitution needs to be reformed, and the board made the decision in 2023 to ask all new members to pay the national fee. This supports the sustainability, growth, and development of the SWI and its activities. So if we have any further questions. Can anybody monitor raised hands or can't see
Nothing so
anything?
far. No,
Can't see anything at the moment, Mary.
no,
No questions?
no, nothing in chat either.
Lots of people haven't got their videos on, so we can see their hands. And they're all muted.
Right. So can we not see raised hands if people's cameras are not on?
Oh, yes, yeah, we can, but there aren't any up.
You can, but there are no questions
There's
No.
one
at
now
this
in
stage.
chat.
There will be questions later after our auditor's slot and
Maybe there is a question in the chat.
right, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. How can we sustain wages for staff? Don't know who it is. From Carol. From Carol. How can we sustain wages for staff?
The SWI employ the staff that they need to run the organisation, and like most other businesses, our wages bill is our largest expense. It's something that is monitored constantly through the agenda, and we have recently had 2 staff leaving and they haven't been replaced. So that has reduced the bill for wages slightly. But we have made provision through using our reserves to maintain the staff's wages at present. I don't know if Karen or Susie or May would like to come in on that, May as treasurer. We need the expertise of the staff that we
Sorry, I'm
have
trying
at the
to-
moment.
At the current time, obviously, with the levies at the rate they're at, it's not covering all of our expenses, and we're having to use from money, cash from our reserves, and that will, that'll be highlighted later in the programme when Kenny will be presenting the accounts to you. So at the current time, our income is not in line with our expenditure, but that'll become apparent with Kenny's presentation.
Mary, Margaret Crawford asks if you can take the spotlight off those who are not speaking, please.
Yeah, I was just writing to Margaret. I think she's probably still on speaker view.
All right.
If you're on a laptop, if you can go up to the top right-hand corner where it says view, drop down the thing and go to gallery view, you'll see the gallery rather than the highlighted people. If you can just see the 4 highlighted people, you're on speaker view still. And if you can change it to gallery view, either on your iPad or on your laptop, top right-hand corner on a laptop.
That's fine. So that wasn't another question. That was just housekeeping. Okay. Have we any further questions?
Can't see any more.
No.
No. Well, Kenny is due to join us for, I think, 11:15. So we're just about on time for that. Is Kenny with us? Do we know?
Yes, I'm sure I've seen him.
He's not here yet unless he's under a different name.
I hope he's not out looking for his dog as he was last year when it came time for his slot.
I'm sure he'll be here on time, Mary. I think we gave him 11:15.
Yes, I think we're just coming up to that.
Or I'll be on the phone to him like last year.
No, well, we're thinking perhaps that we would have one or two more questions just until we were ready. Is that...
Yeah, I've got one here from June Black, Alloway, Ayrshire. Can I ask that the relaxation of the rules surrounding office bearers' roles at institute level?
What was the beginning of that?
Can I ask that the relaxation of the rules surrounding office bearers' roles at institute level? I don't know whether June wants to unmute and ask that question. Have I got that right, June?
Can I ask that the relaxation? Do you mean, can you ask whether it's all right to relax the rules, or is June able to clarify that?
I just interrupt. Kenny's just been admitted.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm not sure what. Can I ask that the relaxation of the rules surrounding office bearers' roles?
I think it might be a word. The word "be" should be in there.
Yeah.
Can I ask that the
Yes,
relaxation?
and that's something that we've
yeah.
talked about. I don't know if anybody else wants to come in on this from the board, but it's something that we've talked about recently, because one of the major reasons for institutes closing is that they cannot get formal office bearers to take roles. So we have made it.
Mary, she's just added a bit. She says, can it be explained?
All right.
About the relaxation of the rules. I think that's what she means.
Yeah. Well,
thank you.
The Constitution is going to allow for institutes to relax the rules around office bearers, because one of the major reasons for institutes closing is that they cannot get people to fill these roles. So we have said that you can run your group, your institute in any way you like, that means that you can continue to operate. Some institutes now don't have a formal committee with a president, a vice president, a minute secretary, or whatever. The only thing that you must have is somebody to look after the money, because that's nothing to do with SWI. That's an Oscar rule. You have to have somebody to look after the money. Other than that, you can do basically whatever suits your group. So you may want to have someone who organises 3 months of the year, 1 month of the year, somebody who makes the arrangements for venues or whatever. You can do whatever suits your group, because we do not want institutes to close because nobody will stand up and become president. It's great to have somebody in charge, or somebody who's keen to oversee what's going on. But if that's not the case, then please just keep going by doing what you can to make your meetings successful and enjoyable for your members.
There's one more question. I don't know whether you've got time, Mary, from Joyce Spence. A question on the accounts. Can you explain in detail the 485,796 expenses under charitable activities?
Well, we're coming to the accounts now. If Joy could wait until we've addressed that section of the agenda. Is that all right?
Yeah, is that okay, Joyce? Joy?
Kenny can easily answer that question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that agreeable with Joy?
Yes, that's okay. That's okay.
Fine. Okay. So we'll press on if, and so I hope that was all right for June, but if she would like any more information, you know that there are easy ways that she can contact us through the office. And we'll give her more information and help if she needs it. Okay. So we'll go on to the presentation of the annual accounts and pass you to our National Treasurer, May Tosh. Thank you, May.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. Now I'd like to introduce our auditor, Kenny McDowell from Sapphire LLP. He will present the 2023 annual accounts and will take any questions you may have after his presentations. So now I'd like to hand you over to Kenny.
Good morning, everyone. Can I just check everybody can hear me? May, can you just nod if you can hear me? That's fine. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. What I'm going to try and do is just share my screen. And then I can use that as a method of just discussing your annual financial statements. So what we've got on the screen here is the extract from the profit and loss account, or the income and expenditure account, for the year ended 31 December 2023. So I'll just take you through this in a wee bit of detail. Cursor's playing up a wee bit, and I want you to focus on the 2023 column and the 2022 column, because that gives you the comparison year on year. So you'll see that when you're looking down this, there's things to point out. So your levies, you may remember a subsidy going through in the levies line. Well, that has now corrected itself. So you're now back to a more, what you might call, regular level of levies hitting your income and expenditure account. So it's gone up year on year. And everything else at the income line is quite steady, as you will see, apart from this large item here, which is the windfall that you have had in connection with the disposal of Heriot Row. So that has made its way into your financial statements and has obviously bloated your income year on year. So you've got a very large income as opposed to that which was reported this time last year. So looking further down the income and expenditure accounts, you'll see that your cost base is very similar year on year. So last year you had 520 going through your total expenditure. This year you've got the 533 going through expenditure. And because of the question that's just been raised, I will move to note 9 in a second, just to explain what's in the expenditure in the year. Moving further down, you'll see that your investment picture is healthier this year in terms of the unrealized and realized picture that's been reported in the period. So you see that last year there was a dip, and I should say that that was common with most of my charities, that there was a dip at December 22, but that did recover at the end of December 23, as you can see. So overall then, this is your net position that you are reporting, and you'll see it's quite dramatically different year on year. What I would say, though, is that that 1.5 includes the 1.6 of gain that we have noted further up the page in connection with the property disposal. So there is still an underlying net expenditure that you need to be alert to as an organisation. So I'm just drawing that to your attention. So in the year, it's about 100,000 if you were to strip out the 1.6 of exceptional gain against the 1.5 that's been reported here in the year. So this makes its way then, and it pushes your funds up from 1.7 then up to 3.2. And that 3.2 of funds then is represented at the year end in terms of this balance sheet. So again, I'll just take you through the headlines. It's reasonably straightforward. Your balance sheet is dominated by the top lines, which is the investment. So everything that you receive largely by way of windfall has been deployed into investment activities with your investment advisors. So your funds are largely backed up, as you can see, by investment in equity markets. You'll see below that line, you've got what's called current assets. So these are things that have a economic life of 1 year. So it includes cash, it includes stock that you hope to turn over to sell, it includes amounts that are due to you at the end of the year, which are called debtors. Then set against that, you have what's called creditors, and these are the amounts that you owe, or this is in the case of membership fees, fees that have been paid in advance for next year. So I think this is overall giving you hopefully a picture that your working capital is fine. It's giving you a net position in your favor of just under 80,000. But overall, the net assets of the organization are sitting at 3.2. And as I've said already, that's dominated by the investment picture in the year, which has gone up because of the windfall from Heriot Row. So I'll just make that smaller. I'll try and jump to note 9 to see if that actually deals with the question that was raised. It's quite a lot in these accounts. So this is your analysis of resources expended. So in answer to the question that was raised, I would direct the individual to this page. And really the way to interpret this page is to look again at the totals. So you've got a total for 2023 in the middle, you've got a total for 2022 in the far right. And it's a case of just scanning down and just understanding, if you like, anything that would be worthy of a question. But you'll see when you look at these that the cost categories, if you like, under each of the categories on the left, and looking at the totals in the middle and the totals in the far right, everything's pretty consistent year on year. So there's nothing there that I really feel I need to draw out for separate discussion. So overall then, that's your financial statements. Our opinion, I'll just direct you to that as well, which is back a few pages. Bear with me. So I'll just direct you to this. So this opinion just says that we're happy that we have looked at your financial statements. They are at the end of 31 December 2023. They do comprise the statement of financial activity, which is your income and expenditure account, your balance sheet, and your statement of cash flows. And what we're saying then in these three bullets is that we're happy that those numbers give a true and fair view. We're happy that they are in accordance with what we call UK GAAP. So that's United Kingdom Generally Accepted Accounting Practice. And we are happy it is in accordance with the charitable law for financial reporting. There's one other thing that I'll draw to your attention, and hopefully you're all aware. We have got an emphasis of matter in our opinion, just to note to the reader of the accounts that the organisation as we know it is about to change into a SCIO. So a SCIO is its own legal identity. So we're just obliged to make that clear in the accounts that once the SCIO takes on the activities of the unincorporated organisation of the past, this unincorporated organisation will actually come to an end and the SCIO will take things forward. So because of that being in progress at the end of the year, we are emphasising that matter for the reader of the accounts. So I think those are the key things that I'd like to draw to everyone's attention, but I'm happy to take any questions that there might be on the financial statements to the end of December 2023. May, you're on mute. I'm just thinking if you're trying to.
I seem to be very good at that, not taking myself off mute. So apologies. Can I ask now if there's any, thank you, Kenny, for that presentation. And can I ask now if there's any questions from for Kenny?
Audrey Gibb has her hand up.
Could I just ask, we've heard an awful lot about sustainability throughout this so far, but the fees, which is our bread and butter, are only arising about 200,000. Okay, there's got to be an increase again this year, but it's still not going to cover employment fees. You had you paid out about £277,000 in total in employment last year, but you only took in 212. We can't carry on at that level. If our fees didn't cover the wages, where's the extra money coming from? You're showing already £100,000 loss over the bit you showed. So what's your suggestion? Is going back to Carol's question earlier on.
Is this a question for me or is this a question for the organisation?
I think it's for you. As an
for me, well, the key is that I've pointed it out. I can't tell you how to address it other than I would completely agree, Audrey, that you've got a non-sustainable business model if you don't address the income lines.
Thank you.
But Diane knows this, and it's probably a bit of a journey that you've been on, and a bit of a journey in terms of where you're going. But you do need to address this, because all that will happen here, Audrey, is you'll start to burn into your windfall.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's been explained to members on many occasions, and that's why we need to have an ambition for a positive future for the organisation. and that's part of the heritage project going forward as well, which will generate income for the organisation. Now, just on the staff salary envelope, and Mary, that was last year's figures. This year it will change because we're not filling posts should any member of staff leave.
Yeah.
So we've got a strategy around sort of natural sort of waste when it comes to a staff team. And what we are doing is taking all that extra work on board and sharing it across the team as well, rather than going out for the likes of a, you know, restructure or a redundancy situation as well.
I think it's important that we pay for the expertise that we need, especially with the situation that we are in, because the board are volunteers and we don't have the skills that are required for every aspect of the governance. So it's important that we have, I think one comment at a federation that I visited was, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So I think it's important that we are using our reserves at the moment, but we need the expertise that we've got.
And Audrey's quite correct in saying that you know, we're eating into our investments, you know, our capital. I mean, that's not sustainable, and we do require, you know, further income streams. So with the heritage project, that, you know, that's where we're looking for to incur additional funds.
Mm-hmm. We have two members with their hands raised. John McKay, and I'm sure it's not John, and Sally Byrne. They've got their hands raised at the top, and there are a couple of questions in the chat.
Oh, yes, thank you. My name is Margaret Mackay, Gustorfin, and I'm delighted that we have won the Brooke Barber Trophy. Delighted for Midlothian. But my question is about ACWW, and I know that SWI are a Category 1 member, and I hope that you still are, but I would like to know how much was donated by members to ACWW for the most recent donations.
That would be in annual accounts.
Yeah, I'm just looking for a copy.
I couldn't see it actually labelled ACWW.
I think it comes under, perhaps it maybe is titled something else. Could it be Jackie? Is Jackie around as well?
Donations to outside organisations.
That's it. Yeah.
So it's
donations.
And it is definitely in the financials as ACWW.
So
those of you that, sorry,
how much was that then? It was donated to ACWW.
I've not put that.
We can find that out and email you.
Yeah. I'm having a look.
And
it's okay, thank you. I don't want to hold you up. Thank you.
We'll get back to you, Margaret.
Fine. Thank you very much, Diane. Thank you.
Just on the ACWW, when we were at the conference last year, they are in the same situation as we are regarding drop-in numbers and drop-in income as a result. And they have rebranded, and they are no longer collecting pennies for friendship. They are now going to call that Rural Women in Action, which they feel better explains what they do. And if you want new labels for your cans or anything like that, you can get them from the ACWW website.
I'm just looking actually at the accounts while you're all speaking. I think there's a sum of £2,333 in note 7 for ACWW Rural Women in Action.
That is it, Kenny. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Kenny.
Yeah, Sally has a question.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask Kenny about gift aid? From now on, now that we're a skier, we'll be able to claim gift aid. Is that going to be an income stream, a decent income stream?
Gift aid from donations that you secure with no benefits in return.
Is that not part of the membership fee?
Well, the membership fee you get things in return for, so I'd imagine it's not purely a donation. A gift aid donation has to be something out of taxable income in which you are purely donating and you get nothing back in return for.
Right. So it's not going to be a measurable amount for us.
It wouldn't stop you as part of your subscription round actually asking whether people want to make a donation that would attract gift aid. So there may be things that you could look at in that regard.
Okay, thank you.
Angela's got a raised hand.
Sorry, I'm just unmuted myself. For my sins, I am the treasurer of ACWW. So I thought it would be useful if I just came in at that point, and I was going to say that it is somewhere in the region of just £2,300 was the donation last year. I think the previous year it was much the same. And I would like to see more donations coming from SWI because obviously I'm a member of both organisations. I don't think that we have done enough publicity within SWI about ACWW in the past. I do understand from Alison Burnett, who was the former vice president of ACWW and who is also in the same institute as me on the Isle of Arran, that there is going to be an article in the future magazine, SWI. But having said that, we'd be very pleased. As a small group, we have done some presentations in our local institutes, and we'd be very pleased to do something to bring ACWW more into the spotlight in terms of, presenting things to members in SWI. Thank you.
That's one of the questions that Rachel Bissett has put in the chat. And I was just going to say that Angela is world treasurer, a huge role, and she's expressed, a desire to speak to us about the ACWW. So could we perhaps tap into that at some stage, Angela?
Yes.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Yeah. A couple more questions on the chat. I'll leave yours for a minute, Elaine, and come back to it. Again, our institute is very concerned. This is from Carol, that the organisation cannot sustain the wages, but I think we just covered that a minute ago. And from Rona, for 2 years we have spent over £2,000 on staff recruitment and training. What training has been undertaken?
Do you want to come in on that, Diane?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So off the top of my head, and I'd be keen for the staff to actually come in and tell them what courses they're actually being on. But I think one of them was board trustee training, which provided the board with the key skills to help lead the organisation forward through changing times in the economy and both internally within the membership as well. So I think that was really useful. But I'd be keen to hear from the staff because actually they're the people on the ground who make sure things are happening. So Ash, can I just point at you first? What course have you been on, Ash?
I've recently completed a course. I did a 3-month course on digital marketing. So it was basically how we can market ourselves and how we can reach our members and more potential members using digital marketing. And it's similar to what we're doing with AGM. We're doing everything online. So it's easier to get access to our members online or potential members online. So that's a course that I've recently completed, and I've felt like I've learned a lot of skills, and we discuss that in team meetings whenever we do something because we always have take backs. And I've also done a course on project management with SCVO, sorry, it's didn't come in my head for a moment. Yes, so I've done a project management course with SCVO, and I'm constantly looking for other courses as well that I can use to improve myself on my role and just get more members.
Perfect. Thanks, Ashmita. Can I just highlight Charlotte?
Hello, everyone. I similar to Ash's course she just discussed, mine is an event planning course that I'm doing at the moment. I also did the project management course with SCVO. I did a Communications Made Easy course last year, and I've also done a safeguarding course with SCVO.
Lovely. Thanks, Charlotte. Jackie?
Hi, everybody. Just to let you know that a lot of our courses are done through SCVO, of which we are a member. So we do get very discounted rates on all the training that we do with them. I've done GDPR courses. I've done management courses. I'm doing safeguarding courses. I've done governance courses and also accounting for charities. I've done that too. Thank you very much.
Perfect. I thought that would just highlight some of the learning and development that's important as an employer to make sure that you've got a highly skilled performing team going forward as well.
If I could just add the one that one of the ones that I went on is a forward-looking one. So it was an oral history, how to the technical side of capturing the oral histories, what equipment you needed, how to engage members to help you do that. So that was run by the Scottish Oral History Society and the Edinburgh Council Archive, the Archives at Edinburgh Council. So that's something that we're in preparation for the next stage when we're going out to collect members' stories about the SWI and what it's meant to them over the years.
Yeah, thanks, Pauline. You've made me think of something. I also went on a course on the SCQF, and I've put forward all my learnings to the skills committee to try and see if we can, with Pauline talking about moving forward, put a formal, education on our crafts. So I've put that forward to the skills and events committee. So this is something they're going to move forward with, going forward. So that was
that's a structure, a qualification structure that we're going to implement into the education that we provide going forward. So things like the Evelyn Baxter, anything that we do in terms of education at a national level, we would like to have qualifications attached to that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple of more things on chat. Yes, somebody would love for the ACWW to be featured in a Zoom meeting. And that was Rachel Bissett. And Carol is very concerned. Oh no, that's sorry, the wrong one above that. Elaine Patterson. She's a new member and she would like to know what SCIO actually is.
A SCIO is a Scottish charitable incorporated organisation, and we, as the national body, has recently transitioned to that. It's really, in fact, we have a paper on it if you want to read it, but basically it's a way of safeguarding the Board of Trustees. At the moment, we are 10 or 9 now that we don't have Joan. And if anything happens, we could be sued. And the 10 of us are responsible for whatever happens. If we transition to a SCIO, then that safeguards us. I'm sure Kenny could give you a much better explanation.
There is a full explanation in the frequent.
That's good. I had it looked out.
But that went to all members yesterday.
Right, okay.
So it is in there. So it's belt braces.
Oh, yes, it is.
Kenny can answer, but you can exactly the wording in the frequently asked questions.
Yeah, it's a legal form because at the minute you're an unincorporated organization, and as Mary has pointed out, that means there's no limit on the liability that the managing board actually has. By moving to a SCIO, that is a legally incorporated organization that allows a layer of protection on those that run the organization that currently isn't there. So the best thing to do if someone's got questions is to type in Oscar SCIO, and there's a very helpful help sheet on the regulator's website that will, 1, explain what it is, 2, it will explain how it's constituted, and 3, it will tell you its purpose and how it actually operates as an organization. So there's a 1 or 2 page document on the website of the regulator that's really helpful for those that want more.
Thank you. I think one of the other benefits is that we can apply for much bigger funding granted than we can as a charity. Yeah. So our time's going on.
Just one more comment, Mary.
Okay.
Claire Greg said she thinks the courses all sound so great and useful. Could some of the new skills be passed on to members groups?
Okay. That's something, all these questions, as we've said, will be recorded and we will answer any of them that haven't had a full answer during the meeting. But it would be really interesting if people wanted to take that on board.
Yeah, there's a couple more there, Mary, that you might have seen. Somebody's interested in having a link to the ACWW on the website.
Wow, that's super.
And yeah, and Rachel again, are you content the costs are being covered for rent of new property? Is the long-term plan to move to something more sustainable, stroke heritage centre after 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, well, I think we've highlighted before that the cost of the rent of the new office is what it cost us to heat Heriot Row. So, you know, it's made a huge difference to the operational costs. When we're talking about the Heritage Centre, we've been talking about looking after our artefacts, but I think what we haven't maybe made enough of is the fact that this is going to be a new funding stream, because we are hoping to incorporate a shop and a cafe within the building, because we have to start earning more money. And that's one of the reasons why we're progressing with the possibility of partnering with the Crichton Trust. We've given ourselves 2 years to do that. So that's why we've taken the lease for 3 years with an opt-out after 2 years if we're further down the road of having a permanent base. So have we any further questions for Kenny? If not, can I have a board member to propose the approval of the accounts?
Yes.
Is that Karen?
Yeah, Karen's got a hand up.
And a seconder?
Me.
Me, thank you.
Can I just be clear, Mary, that the accounts have been approved already? This is just the adoption of the accounts for your
Oh, it's
organisation.
my wording, sorry.
Just for the minute, yeah.
Yes, the adoption of them, it's fine. She just said the same wording as I used for the minutes. Thank you, Kenny. Right, where are we?
Can I say a big thank you to Kenny for his presentation? I think he's shown that, you know, whilst we made, you know, we've made 1.6 million from the sale of Heriot Row, it still leaves us in not a fantastic, you know, we strip that out, it still leaves us not a fantastical situation, you know, with that over 100k deficit for the year. So I think we have to be conscious of that. Obviously, we're making good use of our investments, and that's probably thanks to our investment managers. As Kenny has highlighted the importance of financial sustainability, and I would like to officially announce that the Board of Trustees approve a change to national fee from £25 to £30 in 2025. This change is necessary to keep pace with the rising costs and will be payable in 2025. So can I pass you back now to Mary for our members?
Thank you, May. And thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you very much, Kenny.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Too.
So after a successful membership panel session at last year's AGM, we've once again asked members to talk about experiences that would be of interest to our wider membership. And I'm again going to ask Karen if she would host this session, and hopefully we'll be able to enjoy a little bit of something that's lighter rather than the official businesses that we've just covered. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Mary, and I am delighted to host the membership panel session, and I'm looking forward to learning more about your experiences and how we can learn from them. I'll introduce each member and ask them each to speak for about 5 minutes. And then after that, we'll open the floor for questions. If you'd like to ask a question, please, as before, just raise your hand or put your question into the chat box and that'll be asked for you. Our first speaker on the membership panel this morning is Audrey Gibb from Cranlock SWI. The Institute successfully celebrated a centenary and would love to hear about your planning, who was involved, and of course, how did you manage to get a card signed by Queen Camilla?
Thank you, Karen. Good morning. I am Audrey Gibb from Cranlock SWI, which is a scattered rural community in Moray, and we have 24 members. The highlight of our year was without doubt our centenary celebrations. Our preparation started well before our first meeting in September. The committee met in the summer, and the decision to have an open afternoon in December, thinking about the weather and everything, we decided that this would be more appropriate. And we decided an open afternoon from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock with a timeline depicting our 100 years. And this decision was made in the summertime. The committee pored over pages and pages of handwritten past minutes, pictures in later years of countless meetings, in wonderment at the competitions and in fact the activities of the SWI members. We split the 100 years in the only manageable way that we could into sections, i.e. from 1923 to before the war, then the war years up to the end of the 1950s, then the 60s to the 80s, then the 80s to the 2000s, and then up to the present day, 2023. And it was actually a lot of hard work going through everything and picking out relevant points, because we, at one stage, you wanted to include everything, but we couldn't, it wasn't possible. So we looked at interesting bits, funny bits, quirky bits. And actually one of our committee, Susan, she researched world or Scottish historical events to match our SW key times. Again, two of our committee, Lauren and Frances, were the timeline creators, and they put together all the tableaus, the photocopies, the photographs, etc., in the style of a timeline. Another member, she had to take control of all the home bakes and refreshments during this afternoon. And before all that, another member, our committee, Valerie, wrote in the summertime when the royal family were resident at Balmoral, she wrote a letter to Queen Camilla saying what we were planning to do in December. And by October, she replied with this very personal letter, wishing us all the best. So that was really the boost that we needed. As for the press, our local newspaper, weekly newspaper, the Northern Scot, he promised to come, and during the afternoon he did, and actually produced in our paper a one-page coloured photographic report of all our activities on that afternoon. And again, that was just marvellous. Our hall was beautifully decorated, obviously for Christmas, and our display was along 2 walls of Inchbury Hall, allowing guests to walk and browse and chat, obviously, between the tables and chairs, which was all laid out for our later tea and bakes. Everybody, we made a photographic booklet with all the photographs of our afternoon, which is a lovely memory, and will immediately go into the archives, of course, for our centenary. And on departure, our guests were given an early Christmas present of a tote bag describing with the logo our centenary. And really that's the story of our celebrations of a wonderful afternoon.
That sounds like a really super celebration, and I think you've inspired a lot of people that will maybe be coming up to their own centenary or other anniversaries of how to make it manageable, split it up, but also how to get the press involved, how to record it with the images for the archives as well. So
yes,
no, that was a fantastic summary, and lovely to acknowledge all the people that were involved there as well.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen.
Next,
any questions?
If it's okay, we'll do questions at the end after all the speakers have done. But our next speaker is Caroline Hyde from Orkney Federation. Hi, Caroline. It's good to have you here all the way from Orkney. The advantages of technology. You've been doing some exciting partnership with men's sheds. So please share and tell us how it came about, what you're creating, and when will it be ready?
Okay, good morning, or just about good afternoon. I hope everybody can hear me and hopefully see me.
We can't see you yet, Caroline.
Is that okay? Okay. It seems to be.
What were you saying about technology, Karen?
I had to say it, but I like what happened.
I'm clicking on start my video, but it's saying the computer says no. So I do apologise. Okay. It might be something, it's coming up low network bandwidth, so I'm afraid it might be the internet, I'm afraid. So it might just be audio, I'm afraid, everybody.
That's
okay.
That's fine. Anyway, yeah, sorry, there's just nothing. Okay, I'll just carry on, I'm afraid, because I'm conscious time is short, if that's all right. Can everybody hear me, though? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Well, thank you very much for letting us be a part of today's meeting. As Karen said, I've been asked just to do a little bit of a chat as regards Orkney Federation working alongside Orkney Men's Shed. But really the idea for this collaborative working actually ties in with the previous speaker, because it's very much part of our centenary celebrations this year. So the idea of the framework, the floral framework, the display that we're going to have here in Orkney is collaboratively with Orkney Men's Shed and Orkney Islands Council and also Orkney Museum. So it's actually a joint venture with a lot of different folk involved. And it really came about because one of our members said that quite some time ago, there was a similar floral display in Orkney celebrating the work that the SWI does. So the idea came very much from that we would reinvent that and try that again. So in terms of actually setting up the project, it was actually the museum that I contacted first through Orkney Islands Council, because they, well, there's basically a garden behind the museum, a community garden, which does do projects for the community. So the idea was to ask them if they would be willing to actually do a floral display for us. So long story short, I met with the people from the garden nursery who were more than willing to do a display for us, but they suggested that we had more of a display actually within the grounds of the museum itself. And they suggested that we actually made a framework in basically the shape of the SWI badge that they would then plant up in terms of obviously blue and gold flowers that would then represent the SWI badge. So that was where really the idea came from. And because the people in the museum were familiar with people at the yard, they agreed to let the display go ahead. But of course, then the big question was, how do we actually get the framework made? So who was going to make it for us? So that was where Orkney Men's Shed then came into play. Because again, as many of you will know, the Men's Shed Association do a lot of projects for the community, and they're a charity as well. So we agreed that we would approach them and actually work with them to do the framework. I have to say the framework took quite a lot of working out, but it's been done, it's been completed. If anybody is interested, I have actually uploaded pictures on the Orkney SWI Facebook page. So if anybody wanted to log into that and follow us, there is regular updates, and the display itself, the framework, sorry, is due to be delivered third week in June. In other words, when the plants are ready, so it can then be planted up and then set within the museum courtyard, really to last all through summer and hopefully into the because the Orkney Museum have then agreed to do a display, an exhibition for us inside the museum, celebrating the past 100 years of Orkney Federation, SWI. And again, like your previous speaker said, that's going to involve a lot of old meeting minutes, photographs, different things that members have made over the years, etc., etc. So we really are looking forward to this year and all the different things that hopefully that we will be able to do to celebrate our 100 years. In terms of the press, I have to be honest, at this point in time, we haven't actually approached the press yet. And that's simply because although things are in the planning stage, nothing is actually concrete at the moment. In other words, the display hasn't been finalised, it's not in situ. So it seems at this moment in time a little bit too early to approach the press. But the idea is that when the framework and, if you like, the plants are all in position, then we will ask the Orcadian, which is our local weekly newspaper, to come and do a piece with us to celebrate not only the SWI here on Orkney for 100 years, but also to recognise the work that the Orkney Men's Shed, the Yard Nursery have done for us, as well as the Orkney Museum, in terms of us allowing us to actually make this display possible. So hopefully that will all be happening probably June time, maybe June/July time. And as I say, if anybody is interested, I will be updating our our Facebook page regularly. So if anybody wanted to take a look, they're more than welcome to follow us. So yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. And I have seen on Facebook the base, the wooden base that's been made, and it looks stunning. So I think there's going to be a lot of people following you on Facebook, or maybe sorting out their holiday plans to come up and visit you in person. It sounds such a great community collaboration, a great partnership there with all those involved. So thank you very much for telling us about that. Our next speaker is May McCormack, who you may know or have heard about on BBC News, so a little bit of a celebrity now. Congratulations on your news article, May. It was really inspiring. Can you tell us more about your project, what it's all about, and what made you take this project on to preserve Sanker knitting?
Well, good afternoon, ladies. Firstly, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to speak to this AGM today, and to Karen for your kind introduction. Sanker knitting has been my passion for most of my life. I was always interested in crafts and was lucky that my mother taught and inspired me. I was always interested if she was working on something new. When I was in my late teens, I was aware that she learnt to knit Sanker gloves. And well, needless to say, I had to have a go. She taught me by word of mouth, as the version she knitted was not written down. I was fascinated by the construction of the glove and have been knitting them ever since. It was the Duke pattern, the most recognised, that I started with. And by coincidence, I married a Sanker man and came here to stay. I knew a lady by the name of Miss Jane Forsyth, who was an authority on the subject, and she introduced me to the other patterns, 16 in total, and that sealed my fate. I was hooked, as they say. When the same Miss Forsyth decided to donate her collection of gloves to the local museum, she allowed me to copy them before this happened, and this is the source of my information in recording the patterns. In the year 2000, 9 members of our institute met together to learn to knit the gloves. That was the first time I attempted to write the pattern down and pass the skill on. And in 2003, I had occasion to knit a glove of each pattern for a display, and it was then I realised that most of the old traditional patterns hadn't been recorded. The idea evolved from then to record the patterns, and I eventually started in earnest to do so. It was a big juggling act, I must admit. 12 patterns have been done, and I am now working on number 13. The article on the BBC website has certainly been very popular, and I would like to think it has raised the profile too. I was approached by the author who wanted to write a piece on Sanker knitting. And when she came to Sanker to see me, among other things in the conversation, it was mentioned that I was recording the patterns, and that's the angle she took. It has certainly caught the attention of a wide spectrum of interested individuals, groups, etc., and has been shared on social media. One particular share has generated over 49,000 likes, so it is widespread. There have been several contacts, but it has had a positive impact on both SWI headquarters and our local community arts centre, with an upsurge in the request for patterns, etc. I am often asked if it's difficult to knit a Sanker glove. Well, I am the wrong person to ask that. What I will say is that when the classes start, there's inevitably many self-doubting comments, but with support, patience, and perseverance, most end the class with a finished glove, sometimes a pair or more. I would encourage knitters to try, work at your own pace, and you will be surprised and have a great sense of achievement. To me, it is important to preserve our history. We all know how things are forgotten down the line. How many of us have looked at school photographs, for example, and cannot remember names? There's gaps in the history of the Sanker tradition, and it would be sad if this happened with the actual patterns when we can do something about it now. And as with many other heritage crafts, One of the best ways to preserve this is to actually continue knitting the gloves. If the recorded patterns achieve this, I will be happy. Ladies, thank you for listening to this presentation.
Thank you so much, and you have inspired so many people, and our own Mary has put a comment in that she's enjoying your classes. So I think it's just have a go, people, and see what you can achieve. But also you're inspiring people to record heritage crafts. There may be something that our members are doing and you think, oh yeah, there's other people doing that and it won't be lost, but maybe you're one of the last people to be doing this and to save these heritage crafts. So thank you so much for doing that for Sanker Knitting. Your mum must have been a fantastic teacher. I'm going to go into our last speaker, or speakers, who are Wendy Cook and Sharon Murdoch from Largs SWI. So can you tell us about your new institute in Largs? How's it going? And how have you turned challenges into opportunities?
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, I contacted the SWI because Largs is quite a large town, and I just wonder why there wasn't one. So I contacted Ashmeter in March, and we had our first presentation on the 28th of May. Then we went on to have our very first meeting on the 6th of September. We had 66 ladies who turned up. And from then on, as Mary said, we have now got 54 signed up members. So we're very, very pleased with the results of that. And also the fact that so many people are interested in so many different things. And we have lots of people who speak and different subjects all the time, not only craft, but health matters and all kinds of things. So although we've got the 54 full members, we have also some ladies who later on in the year have come in just to visit for that particular meeting, and they pay something for their teas and coffees and home baking and everything. The challenges have been bank account mainly, which was very, very difficult to set up. It took about 2 months with our only bank in Largs now, unfortunately. We've advertised in the newspaper. Unfortunately, Sharon can't be here today, but Jill Farage is going to speak as well. But we have a weekly coffee morning in one of the pubs. We have a lovely room we can all meet and get to meet people better. And so we meet every Tuesday. Sometimes we go for a meal. We've been to the theatre. We've been to exhibitions already. And we've got a Facebook group, which is the Largs Women's Group, and that tells everybody in Largs about all of our activities and upcoming meetings. So we are quite widely advertising our group, and we have a lot of people interested in lots and lots of different things. And also we had a lovely craft fair last week on Saturday, and we raised £720 towards our next trip to Dumfries House on the 1st of June. And we're going to go to a craft fair first and have lunch as well as the visit. We're looking into doing more things next year. We're very, very keen on bringing in more people, introducing more people for speaking and different items in the whole of the range of health and everything that people might be interested in. So I think I've got one more question here. Oh yes, about the men's shed. We're also involved with our men's shed. Some of our ladies have already done a visit to the men's shed, and we're going to have another one quite soon. And we are getting involved quite a lot with sharing certain things. But Jill will tell you about that, so I'll pass you over to her.
Hi there. Yes, thank you, Wendy. We've had, as Wendy's mentioned, we've had quite a few challenges. Not knowing where to start was the first one, but we've had a lot of help thanks to Ayrshire Federation, and they were with us at our very first meeting, and obviously before setting up the bank account. It took a very long time. We've lost several members of our committee due to family circumstances, not permanently, but they're still members. But we're now happily settled on 6 committee members and hope to improve on that and increase numbers. And not having any funds in our first year for speakers. So we really had to rely very heavily on speakers offering their services free of charge. The successes, however, have been enormous. We've had lots of success in that. The Largs and Millport News have written about a successful start of the meetings. Our friends within the group, members have made friends. Some members who had previously lived in Largs for 5 years without knowing anybody now have a really good friendship group and regular things to do. We have a large proportion of our members who are working women, younger working women. Members actively volunteer to help at meetings. They bake cakes, they craft items to sell, which is fantastic. Our meetings are very well attended and highly praised by our members, so we've not had any negatives about those. Members are very excited to be joining the SWI Heritage organisation as well, so that's a really good positive. But most of all, we've raised £400 for 2 local charities at a charity night, which was great. We raised, as Wendy's just mentioned, £720 at our coffee afternoon, where we had 15 stall holders selling their wares. And this money, as she said, is also going to our day trip, which will subsidise our members. And finally, we've had a very successful community investment fund bid from North Ayrshire Council, and we've raised £15,393, and this will cover the cost of setting up a new sewing club in Largs, further collaboration with the men's club, and running costs of our Largs SWI will be paid for the next 2 years. So we are going to be fully self-sufficient and have a very sustainable future. And if any words of encouragement to federations considering hosting new groups, go for it. We've had a fantastic year and we're really looking forward to the next 100. Thank you.
Wow, you've done so much in a short space of time, and the women in Largs are so lucky that you saw the gap, the need for this, and you've really brought people together, especially ones that have lived in the area for some time, not knowing and being able to make connections with people. So that is fantastic. And I think getting the word out as well, word of mouth, you can't beat word of mouth for being enthusiastic about your experience, come along, see what it's about, but also photos, whether that's in press or online. Photos speak 1,000 words, said that before, that yeah, just get a feel for the energy that is in the group. So well done for your bids as well, that you've secured funds for the next couple of years and for your other projects too. So well done.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
I would like to open up the floor to see if there are any questions for any of our speakers on the membership panel. If you'd like to raise your hand or pop one into the chat, and I'm sure there'll be some.
Elaine,
first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, good. The microphone's working, thank heavens. Okay, I'm a new member of the Falkirk group. And I've just made a few observations. I have joined a few women's groups locally before. I think people were kind of expecting with the Scottish Women's Institute there'd be someone from SWI attending for meetings, and they expect something more formal than what's actually happening. So I think a few words of advice, maybe just from past experience. A committee structure, I think, gives people reassurance, and it also, I think previously you had your elect your committee members, so I think that gives the whole group reassurance they've got an input into who makes decisions for them. I'm not accustomed to committee structures relaxing when they're not formed yet, so I have to think differently myself, I think. But we used to have a group in Falkirk, a Scottish Women's Day group, and the Women's Day group always benefited from having a quorum. So for each meeting, we had to have a quorum of at least 6 people. And usually we had 8 or more, 8 to 12 usually, but we had to have a quorum of at least 6 people for decision making. I think if you have a quorum and that's established, then everyone has a clear understanding of how decision making is taking place, even without a full committee. So we have in Falkirk CVS, and CVS Falkirk support the volunteer groups in Falkirk. I've spoken to Ashmeaty about this already, and I think CVS would be very, very keen to come along and support us. And they also offer volunteer training, and sometimes there's certification. You can have little events, organising certificate or something, which is quite useful to have as a volunteer. There's also support from Falkirk District Council that we might have to be able to tap into in the future. So I think for new groups, you know, don't be put off by a lack of committee structure, because at first to me that was daunting. I think every region or council area will have some sort of support like CVS or community learning and development. You can go to your local council and seek support there too. So it's been lovely to hear everyone's accounts and reports today, and we hope to meet you all in the future at some point. Meet face to face would be wonderful, and to have some encouragement. So we're looking forward to Amita supporting us further, I think, to have the first few meetings underway at Falkirk.
Thank you, Elaine, for your feedback and for sharing your experiences. I think there's a slight deliberate step back from the SWI initially at the formation of the new groups to let the people of that area see what they want to do, what works for them, without having too much of a formality and maybe what people have of a preconceived idea of what SWI may or may not be. But we'll certainly take that feedback on. And yeah, I don't know if any of the new group speakers want to come in.
I think that Susie's got a question. Karen.
It wasn't so much a question as an observation and a request. First of all, fabulous. You've all done really well today, and thank you ever so much for sharing your experiences and your skills and how to get a letter from royalty. Oh, dear.
I know.
I would very much like to ask Largs and Falkirk, when can I come and visit? Because you
I'm coming with you.
You're coming too, Mary. I think we need a wee road trip. It's amazing to hear what's going on, and it's lovely to hear that we've got such enthusiasm across the country for all these groups. Whether you decide to go down the relaxed committee or the slightly more formal committee route, I think it's great that across the country as a whole, we're now moving towards a constitution that allows groups to work with what works for them and what works for the people in those groups. And yes, definitely would love to come and see you. And I do a bit of speaking and I do a bit of teaching, so I'd be really happy to come and support your groups and make sure it's nice and affordable for you guys. So hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thanks. Just quickly, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We, as I said, we do our coffee morning on a Tuesday in Sharp's Pub in Largs, who've accommodated us beautifully in a room on our own. They set up coffee and tea. We don't even have to pay for it, but we obviously donate. They give us biscuits and cakes and things. And anybody is welcome to come to that. People who are thinking of becoming members or just want to come and meet other people. That is a very sort of open, easy time we have, and sometimes we'll go for a walk, sometimes we go out for lunch, and we're trying to keep it quite informal in that way. And then we have our committee meetings with all our fantastic the help I've had has just been amazing, because I've had back surgery earlier on in the year, so I had to just step to one side, but Jill, Sharon and Susan have been marvelous. And I just want to thank everybody for all their support, Ashmeaty and Pauline, everybody. And just so pleased that I mentioned to my husband one day, just said, I wonder why there isn't an SWI in Largs, and got in touch. And this is where we are at the moment, in less than a year. So I'm really happy about that.
Susie, I'm coming on the road trip with you.
Can I just remind people that we did take a lot of the formality out of the Constitution when we looked at it the last time. But if people want to go down the committee route, the formal guidelines are still in the members area of the website.
Yeah. It's Margaret McGuy. It's got a hand up, last one.
Hi, Margaret.
Yes. Hello. Again, not so much a question, but thank you for listening to. I find that very, very inspiring, and good luck to all your groups. But with regard to the centenary celebrations, we put on a display in the local museum. With help, Brenda McLean was very organised in doing that. We put on a week's display in the local museum, and that attracted a lot of people in to see it. And from that, we got all our new members, and that's why we got the Barbara Brookshire Trophy from that. So I encourage anybody who's got a centenary celebration coming up to get involved with the local community as much as you can. And good luck to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. Are there any more questions? Are there none in the chat? I think we're good. No,
mission's finished.
I think it just leaves for me to thank our speakers. So thank you, Audrey, Caroline, May, Wendy, and Jill, for sharing your experiences from across the country. I think you've inspired not only in terms of new groups, but maybe existing groups to look and see how they can update or refresh themselves, maybe relaunch with some of the ideas that you've taken on. And I can't wait to see how the Orkney project turns out. And May, I'm a knitter, but I'm going to have to give it a go, I think. Until I try, I'm not going to know. So thank you so much to all our members, and I hope everybody's enjoyed this part of the AGM again. So Mary, I'll hand back to you to close the meeting.
Thank you, Karen. We are well over our time. Karen has thanked our panel members. And I think it reminds us just what we're fighting for. This is why we have to keep going. Isn't it wonderful to hear all these stories? But I'd just like to finish quickly by giving you my own personal vote of thanks. Firstly, to my fellow trustees for their constant help and support today and throughout the year. I appreciate it greatly. Secondly, to our excellent staff team for their continued friendship, help and guidance while coping with the move from Heriot Row to the new office. To Maz, Wilma and Kath, who helped to facilitate the meeting today, I think their technical skills are now legend, and a thank you to the members for their attendance and input to today's meeting and for their passion for all things SWI. Finally, a personal thank you to all institutes and federations for the many invitations to join them at celebrations, shows, presentations and meetings throughout the year. My geographical knowledge of Scotland and my long-distance driving skills have been sorely tested, and my waistline is increasing rapidly from the wonderful hospitality I've received. But I've enjoyed meeting so many members and look forward to meeting many more of you at events during the next year. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the rest of your weekend.